Hey, I'm Decathlon Gamer, and welcome to Ecosystem. This is a game just released into early access, available on Steam. It's from Tom Johnson and Slug Disco. We're going to take a look at this very physics-based environmental system where every little thing you do affects the entirety of the ecosystem and evolution through time. It's really neat the way this is set up, and even though it is just released into early access, it is quite playable at this point. I've already taken about an hour to go through all of the tutorial. It's going to feed me the tutorial again, but I'm going to really try to bypass that so you can get a chance to look at the game mechanics itself, but there is not a way to currently turn that on or off, and so I'll just quickly move through it as I've gotten the grip of the game itself. Now, my first playthrough was on the beach where everything was just nice and easy, level plain, everything covered in sand, so it was quite easy to grow and evolve from that. This is going to be much harder this time with a valley, and you can see there is going to be some rough terrain involved. There's going to be some cliffside where things aren't going to grow quite as easily, so we'll see if I can succeed in a similar fashion, but also happening more quickly. Let's go ahead and get into the game, and I'll see. Oh, there is a skip tutorial. There you go. All right. Well, with skip tutorial, we're all set. Right now, I have 5 life points. You need life points to add to grow. It's not just automatic. You also need to grow and evolve through research, and that's going to cost life points. So we do have a few base things to begin with. We get to choose 3 food sources from 5 available to us. Some of them have requirements, where others are going to just be automatic and add to ecosystem health or take away from, and you also need to keep an eye on what type of terrain they prefer or just tolerate. Now, if I take the grass rack pondweed, it has a ecosystem health requirement, but it's quite low. The milfoil requires a lot of additional. Also, it's going to take away from other plant species, so the milfoil, not a good way to start. The grass rack pondweed is good. It's better to help the other pioneer plants around it, but it does have that requirement. Amazon sword plant is an easy one and also sets up the environment. The Congo Fern isn't as tolerable, but because we have a varied terrain, it could do well. We'll give it a chance. Alright, so we begin with the Amazon sword plant. You can see that as you go around, different environment, different success, different soil type, different adaptability, but you can see a nice healthy one there. It's going to grow and spread entirely on its own. You can see as seeds spread, it's hopping out there and doing its thing. So we'll put a couple out to get us going, and we'll kind of follow the valley here. And then we're also going to take this grass rack pondweed, which now, even though it has a requirement, and let's go ahead and zoom in here so you can see what I'm talking about. +6 to eco health. The adaptability, it's fine for this terrain. The sunlight's good, the soil type's good, all at 100%, but the eco health currently right at this location, at this hex, is 5. The requirement in order to locate this is 3, so that's high enough, and so we're able to place that here as well. And you can see we're going to start spreading our wings a little bit further. You can see from the mini-map, here is the area that we're going along. That's our little valley, and you can see it's green as we have life now. You can see a lot of the action happens entirely on its own. You have kind of a godlike feel in where you start, how you start, but not in the permanence of what's going on. All right, so Congo Fern. This one, kind of terrain. Oh, it likes the hillside here. Or the cliffside, I suppose. I need to back myself out of this a little bit so I can see. So we'll place it up on the walls along the outside edges of the valley. All right. Now, those have no cost by themselves. And as they grow and expand, they add to the life points. We now have 26 of those. So for the first time, we're going to have an opportunity to go in. The first 3 were free, but for each one, the expense goes up and up and up, but you always get to choose 3. Now, the couple that we hadn't picked previously, like the milfoil, still available, but we add 3 new choices, like seaweed. And you can see how the environment, or at least in this central area, this small valley, is growing quite rapidly, and there's quite a bit of plant life now there. So let's go ahead and continue on with the expansion, especially now that we have 3 more. It'd be kind of nice, of course it's just hitting early access, but I would find it nice if there was some sort of marker, just an asterisk, a star, a check mark, a different color, something that told us what is the new ones that were just added. Because unless you remember, it's not going to tell you. And so what I've found is that there are times that you might want to affect, and you can see our general health of the area is just a 32 at the moment. It's not particularly high, but it's getting started. But you don't know which one, right? Unless you recall. And so you have to kind of contribute or commit that to memory in order to find success in that. You can see we're already, this is a whole new area that we hadn't even really done anything with. But we're spread out over a pretty big area already, so that's nice. Alright, that's a bit of each one. Let's go ahead and get into the other piece of this. Not just the plant life, but the animal life. And we begin with foragers. So we're going to put some basic foragers there. These do come with that cost, but as they spread, they give back. Alright, that's good. Our first carnivore, we're only going to put 1 in. You don't want to put in too many because they're going to feed on those. Alright, and we're ready for our next evolution. Green starfish. Okay, I'll definitely pick that one up. Okay, we have the big leaf or the pondweed. Pondweed's a good one. It spreads really well, at least in my previous experience. And I guess we can take the Java fern. Alright, you can totally change the terrain, and we might take a look at that at some point before the end of this first look. And then this is all menu and movement stuff. We'll get a look. You can see our early species that we've placed in. They are very unique, and they are, well, they're not pretty to look at. But here's the thing. This is how evolution works. They start totally abstract and weird, but then the best, there's more than one of the same species. There's many of them. The best of them will mate. The others will die. Like that one just died off. Some will survive and move on and evolve, and then over time they get better and more fluid, and that's really neat. I love that system. It's really cool how they've done that. Alright, hopefully memory will serve me. Is the Congo Fern one we just picked up, or was it the Java? I think it was the Java Fern. So we'll put a few of those out there. Let's also jump to the other side. We've really surprised how quickly we are spreading, but we are spreading. Okay, the curly leaf pondweed was definitely in that last one. See all those little +1s that we're gonna get by putting this in. So it's boosting everything around it. So +1 to pioneer plants. And we have a lot of pioneer plants out there. Those are the basic ones that we start with. Was it the seaweed? It might have been the seaweed. Or have we gotten into... there it is. We got into tier 2, into the green starfish. So this starts adding plankton. Yummy, yummy food for those little guys floating around, swimming around, doing their thing. So we'll get some starfish out here. Whoo, wow, we are spreading fast. I haven't even been down here. Not this far anyway. And one more. Okay, now we have 3 basic. We have your forager, we have your predator, and we have the apex predator who hunts smaller predators. You can also manually go in and create your own. We'll do that before the end here anyway. But let's go ahead and put in a little more on the foragers. And as we're growing, let's get our next evolution. So seagrass, it's a good one. Purple tube sponge, and I know that milfoil's been waiting for a while. Let's get that milfoil out of the way. And here's that tricky thing. Where's that milfoil hiding? It's in here somewhere. Now the milfoil is kind of a predator of plants. We're not going to put much out. It does its thing. It's got that +20. It's strong, but it's also dangerous as it feeds on others. Okay, and just one more. You can see we're getting some maturity happening in some of the fish species. Okay, we added our first tube sponge. By the way, the bottom of the ocean is such a beautiful thing. I lived on a tropical island for a few years, the island of Saipan, and I spent a lot of time snorkeling, and it was just amazing. Absolutely amazing. And I miss it. I miss it tremendously. I do still live within a couple hours of the coast. In fact, I was just on the coast a couple of days ago. That being said, and that might survive where it was. It looked like it was low. I'm kind of putting things at random at this point to keep things moving along. Okay, that was 2. There was one more. What was the one more? Are we already into a tier 3? No, not yet. Congo Fern, Java Fern, been there. Seagrass, I think, was the other one. I do believe that it was the seagrass. Let's get the seagrass out and about. Very good for the ecosystem. You don't necessarily have to just fill in holes. You can fill in space that's already occupied. It's just going to remove what's there and do its thing in the ecosystem. Alright, let's start expanding out a little bit. Looks like we have a nice healthy area, even though there's really not much happening all the way back here. We'll get that started. Alright, well, we have plenty of life points. Let's go ahead and make our next evolution a thing. Red starfish, some mushrooms, and we'll get the orange starfish. Alright, same category, all tier 2. I like that. That makes life easy on me. And we'll get one more at random way down here somewhere. There we go. And then the orange starfish. You can also click on the mini-map to move quickly between areas. Red starfish. Boom. Take that, ecosystem. And that. Why don't you have some of this? There's our little red starfish. Pretty little things. Why don't you go find Patrick and say hello? Okay. Now let's also make another venture here. Let's add another here. They're doing a lot of evolution on their own. Did you take? I don't think you took. There we go. No apex yet, but we will add that in soon. Now you can see the purple in the key up here is miscellaneous. So you get a lot of random ones, but then they start to sort themselves out. And you can see we do have some types. Here is the Canthgurn. There's its age, its survival, which is not good right now. It's not very good at surviving, but it's a little bit there on the evolution side. So the Rohil, you can see, is just about dead. It's not doing too well. This one, Palmazar, is doing a little better on the survivability here. And it looks like it's working on mating. Seems to have eyed a mate and is trying to make that happen. I can see with that 0.8 that it's likely going to find some success in that task. Alright, let's get back to the action. We have lots of points. Get a barrel sponge, bull kelp, and plankton joining the party. Alright, get a few of these sponges going. Let's see, if you stick to really just one area, then they're obviously not going to spread terribly well. And way out here, we still have almost no life. But some plankton might help. Get some plankton going. Alright, you can see here we have kind of an overview of the health of the system here. There's a lot of grass rack pondweed. The mushrooms are providing a lot. Seagrass, the seaweed, providing a lot of health of this region. But it's nice to see how that's kind of set up, and you can get that solid overview of what's there. Okay, so some plankton there. Alright, what else? We added some bowl something, right? The bowl kelp. There you go. That's a big one too. Takes a big area. But it really adds, especially with the animal species, gives you more diversity. Diversity is a good thing. Very good thing. Put some right on top here. Reach for the sky. You're not going to make it. You're deep, but you could try. Okay, and let's do the next evolution. Sea anemone, blue sea fan, yellow tube sponge. Similar to some things we've already seen, but let's throw a few of these guys out there. Okay, let's see. Get that sea anemone. Put some over here. And let's take you in nice and close. You can see what we have going on here. Health of our region is looking good. Our animal life has some work. They have their work cut out for them. Plant life is solid though. Okay, what did we miss? What is the third one? Was it the orange starfish? We already have green and red, right? I think orange was the new one we just added in. Could be. Maybe not. Not much going on over here, but there's enough to bring in some life. Okay, hop back over to our main area. All right, yeah, we could keep going like this. You see how the pattern emerges. We have the tier 1, we have the tier 2. Eventually we'll break into tier 3. We do have our first tier 3 item now available in the blue sea fan. We'll get into the coral and whatnot, all of that coming very soon, as this is our first in that realm. We're getting even bigger over here now. Tell me about yourself. He's swimming a little sideways, but look, he's looking a little like a fish now. Genetic disease. Oh no. And you died. Alright, well anyway, the evolution, all of that, it's happening. It's here. For one thing, let's go ahead and, for the first time, introduce an apex predator who's going to go after the others, and we'll even give him some food over here. There we go. And then put in a few more foragers. Helps if we put them somewhere that already has some life to it and not on the outskirts, which there's a lot there, so there's plenty of food for them. But let's go ahead and take a look at the creature editor. And there you go. So here's the creature editor. It's ugly. It's nasty. You can change the skin, the look, the fins. I mean, there is so much creative detail that you can have. Now this is a forager. We can change him to an apex predator or just a regular predator. We could choose how they mate. Okay, we'll change the head. Oh, there's a head for you. Looking like he wants to be a shark at some point. Alright, and then we can also change the shape. We can make him skinnier. Make him longer. Okay, come back over here. We can add in a fin, but I don't want the fin on top. How about we put the fin on the side? Let's see, where are we gonna go to get that one? Is that here? No, that's the wider. How are we gonna do that? Where do we want to move? But we subtract that one. Do we do it here? I've only done this part once before. I want it to be skinny. It's going to be on top. It's going to be a little shark fin, I guess. Okay, fine. We'll do it that way. But you know what? I'm going to give him a leg to stand on too. We're going to mirror that. He's going to have top-bottom control. You see some of that out there. And I'm fine with that name. Okay, now we're going to spawn some in. And we'll go take a look. Will he survive? I don't know. Did we get one? Let's try that again. Might not have survived where that is just the seeds, but I want to be somewhere where we're already in nice and tight and we could take a look. Ah, okay, we're just bursting with life is all. And that's ultimately how this game works. I mean, you have the godlike feature to it, but the evolution, it's going to happen in its own way. And look, there's one starting to grow up. There's our first little creation. Hasn't quite figured out the tail. The tail's very minor, so it's going to struggle to move around and control itself like that, but at least it'll have a swivel pattern. And ooh, there are quite a few of them around, actually. Now they don't swim terribly well. But you can see one there, gaining a little bit of control. Is that one of my first creations? Has a similar look to it. No. Nope, that's somebody else who has evolved over time, but they are getting bigger. They're having a bigger impact. Look at these little guys. That's cool. So you can see this ecosystem, the way it plays out, while it looks to be real time, it's very much something that's happening very quickly. The evolution, this is hundreds or thousands of years of evolution taking place in moments. But look at this environment that we've created in just a very short period of time. Very neat game. Something you can absolutely dive into, pick up very quickly, and get a lot of enjoyment out of to see how it goes. And you get that chance to play around with evolution. Oh gosh, I remember growing up with games that would dream to be like this. I can see one creature that's doing quite well there. Others that are struggling a bit comparatively. Yeah, that one's definitely doing pretty well. This is Cynthia. 3rd generation. Survival percent is still very low. Oh, she's an apex. She eats other predators. And we could take a look here at some of the inner workings within the code. You can see how they're developing. And watch, you can edit, or you can save their DNA for future playthroughs. That's also a really cool, neat feature. But in just less than half an hour, we have built a quite evolved ecosystem that is quite sustainable right now. But you can also absolutely destroy that ecosystem by bringing in too much of one type of one thing that's going to completely destroy everything else. In fact, you can see that our life points, really not a ton right now. We committed a lot to bringing in those new predators, which are going to top down, head of the food chain, impact a lot of what's going on underneath it. But that is the first look at Ecosystem. I'm Decathlon Gamer. Thanks for tuning in. If you liked what you saw, be sure to hit that like button. Also, if you want to see more, hit subscribe. Have a good one. Be safe out there, and bye for now.